What's going on, guys? Today I wanted to bring you another one of my 2014 WCQ hat format deck profiles. The deck I wanted to show off today is Evo or Evoltile or Evolsaur, however you want to refer it as. It's a really cool deck that I think is a little bit better than people make it out to be. It kind of reminds me of like the worm decks during this time period where they might not be the best deck, but they definitely have some cool plays, some really powerful cards locked behind its archetype, and most people in general just know how strong some of their boss monster extra deck monsters are. So I'm extremely excited to show off this deck profile. I think I actually had a few people also ask me if I could make this deck profile. So here it is, excited to get into it, so let's get right into it. Starting off with the monsters, we play 3 copies of Evoltile Westlow. This one is very strong. It has 1900 defense, and it's a flip effect monster that when it's flipped, you special summon an Evolsaur monster from your deck. I guess one thing I should note is the Evoltiles are like the small monsters, and the Evolsaurs are the slightly bigger monsters, and usually you're getting the effects of the Evolsaurs off of being special summoned from the effects of the Evoltile monsters. Very key there. So Westlow flips face up, summons an Evolsaur from the deck. Next, 3 copies of Evoltile NAWCQ. This one, when it's on the field, is tributed. You can special summon an Evolsaur monster from your deck. Also, very big defense, 2000. This one, with one of the spell cards, ends up being a 1-card Xyz monster. So that's really strong. But what I'll say is, in general, I've considered cutting this down to 2 because there's only so many cards that actually tribute your monsters. And so this one, while it is very good if you have it in conjunction with one of those tribute cards, it's not very good on its own. And instead, I'm also playing 1 copy of Evoltile WCQ. So I think if I were to cut one of the NAWCQs, I'd play a 2nd copy of WCQ that, once I explain what this does, I'll kind of explain a little more into why I would prefer this. So what this one does is when it's normal summoned, you can send an Evolsaur monster from your deck to the graveyard, so it's a foolish, and then when this card is flipped face up, you can special summon an Evoltile monster from your deck, so one of these smaller monsters. So the thing with this is, if it's set and flipped face up, I can just basically get to the NAWCQ if need be, and the effect to actually send an Evolsaur monster is really important once we get into the trap cards, because Evos have a card called Evo Singularity, which basically takes your graveyard Evoltile and Evolsaurs and turns it into one of your Evo Xyz monsters. So basically on its own, this plus the trap card is a 1-card Xyz in a sense. Maybe if you want to call it like a 1.5 card or 2-card combo. But in general, this is more live a lot of the times than your Evoltile NAWCQ. So that's why I say I'd probably bump this to 2 and bump that down to 2. But that is it for the Evoltile monsters. For the Evolsaurs, the main one that I play is 3 copies of Evolsaur Volcano. When it's special summoned by the effect of an Evoltile monster, you can target a Evolsaur monster in your graveyard and special summon that target, and it can't declare an attack this turn, but that's irrelevant because you're just going to Xyz summon with it. Very good card. After that, 2 copies of Evolsaur Diplo. When it's special summoned by the effect of an Evoltile monster, it pops a spell or trap card. And 2 copies of Evolsaur Serrato. When it's special summoned by the effect of an Evoltile monster, it gains 200 attack, so it'll be a 2100 beater. And then when it destroys a opponent's monster by battle, you can add a Evoltile monster from deck to hand. So that's really good, being able to search your Evoltile monsters. I could probably cut this down to 1, but there wasn't really another good Evolsaur option, and I wanted to keep the number of Evoltiles and Evolsaurs equal. I think I'm playing 7 of each, And so, like, there was one other Evolsaur that I may have considered. It was like a level 5 that can change the levels of monsters. And there's like some cool combos with that, but being like a dead card most of the time, if you draw it, isn't really good. Where like this isn't great if you draw it, but it having 1900 attack on its own is really good. So that's why I chose to play the 2 of those over 1 and 1 of the other one. And lastly, for hand traps, I am playing 2 copies of DD Crow. I chose DD Crow over Max C because while drawing cards is really good, the problem with this deck is you want to be able to summon your Evolsaurs from deck, and if you draw too many cards, you can actually kind of make so a lot of your cards are dead. I know that sounds really weird, but like I said, just you need the Evolsaurs in deck. And DD Crow in general is a card that hits specific things, so I'd much rather stop their combos than give them the option to keep comboing with like Max C, even though I would be drawing. So that's why I chose this. Obviously I side Max C's, but Crow I think for the main deck is just better. Moving on to the spells, 3 copies of Evo Diversity. This is just a Rhoda once per turn for Evoltile or Evolsaur monsters. 3 copies of Evo Force. This is the card that I said combos with the copy of Evoltile Najasho. What this does is you tribute a Evoltile monster you control and special summon an Evolsaur monster from your deck, and it's treated as if it was special summoned by the effect of an Evoltile monster. So the idea is you have Najasho, tribute the Najasho, summon one of your Evolsaurs, and then Najasho triggers to summon another Evolsaur from deck. So just in general, a really powerful card there. This also works with the Lagasucho. If you normal Lagasucho, send a copy of one of your Evolsaurs, and then off of activate this, summon a copy of your Volcano. Volcano will summon back the copy of whatever Evolsaur you sent, and that's also going to be a 1-card Xyz, or I guess 2-card Xyz in that case. 2 copies of Pot of Duality. Sometimes you have your fast turns, but you also just have your slow turns where you're setting like a Westlow and some back row, so getting a little deeper into your deck is nice. 2 copies of Enemy Controller, just another card to tribute your Najasho, as well as it kind of acts like a trap card in a sense, in a spell form. 2 copies of Forbidden Lance, just being able to, keep your Westlow around while it does have a lot of defense, and it's a flip effect monster. There's actually combos that work by having it still on the field. Also, this with Serato means you're always going to kill the opponent's monster and get a search. It just has a lot of uses, and making sure your opponent doesn't break through skill your monsters or compulse them, bottomless them, just all that stuff really good. And 2 copies of MST, similar reason. You guys have probably seen me have deck profiles with 2 MST and 2 Lance. That's just kind of what I like for either, spot removal or just protection. Next, you want your normal summon to go through, so artifacts hurt this deck, so Forbidden Chalice is another good going first or second card. Similar to how I said with Crow for the artifacts, Chalice is another good option. And 1 Book of Moon, because you can reflip your Westlows. And the last spell is 1 copy of Soul Charge. This card isn't necessary because of the Evo trap card that I mentioned before, but in general, I do like having the option to sometimes just bring everything back and make a bunch of Xyz monsters, so that is really good too. Moving on to the trap cards, we play 3 copies of Evo Singularity. This is the main trap card I was talking about. You target an Evoltile monster and an Evolsaur monster in your graveyard. Special summon 1 Evolazar Xyz monster from your extra deck, and if you do, attach those monsters as Xyz material. So, how I mentioned with the Lagasucho, again, you just normal summon it, send an Evolsaur, and then when the Evoltile dies, you can activate this, summon one of those Xyz, and boom, you're set. So really, really strong card there. And then just a couple one-ofs. One breakthrough skill, one bottomless, one torrential, and one solemn warning. I would consider maybe playing a Blackhorn in this deck as well, or you could maybe, if you really wanted to, play something like Wiretap, though. I think with playing MSTs and Lances already, the Wiretap is kind of redundant, but that is it for the main deck. Moving on to the extra deck, very important cards are the Evolsaurs. We play one Evolsaur Solda. While this is a high-level monster, or high-ranked monster, the Evo trap card just cheats it out. And what this does is it can't be destroyed by card effects while it has Xyz material, which it will. And then when your opponent special summons a monster or monsters, you can detach a material from this card and destroy that monster or monsters. So really powerful card. 2 copies of Geargia. People should know what this card does if they've played older formats in general, but if not, when a monsters would be normal or special summon, or when a spell trap is activated, you can detach 2 materials from this card, negate the summon or activation, and destroy that card. Really good, especially because it detaches 2 materials, meaning if you hard make this and then have the singularity, you can negate something and then use the singularity and make a second copy. Really good card. 2 copies of Evolsaur Madolche. This is sort of the counterpart to Geargia. What it does is during either player's turn, when a monster effect activates, you can detach a material from this card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that monster. And that is not once per turn. So really, really good card there. These are the main cards you'll go into, but for the other parts of the extra deck, 1 King of the Feral Imps to search your reptile monsters, 1 Black Ship of Corn, 1 101, 1 Wind-Up Zen Meister. This might be a little different for a lot of people, but what's really cool is it's kind of like a reverse Photon Papleroperative. Basically, what it does is it gains a little bit of attack for the Xyz material it has, and then once per turn you detach an Xyz material from this card, target a face-up monster you control, change it to face-down defense position, and then during the end phase of this turn, you change it to face-up attack position. So that's just a cool way to flip down your Westlows, and that's why I said it's kind of important sometimes to keep it on field, because you can make this and reuse the Westlows. So really, really cool card. 1 Exciton, 1 Dweller, 1 Cowboy. The last rank 4 is 1 Rhapsody and Berserk. And then 2 rank 3s. I chose Mechquip Engineer because being able to put this up with a Geargia or Madolche is really good to protect them in case they have something to get over it. And 1 Fortune Tune. This could be really any rank 3 you wanted. I specifically chose Fortune Tune because it's a good way to stall out to see some of your traps and other cards, as well as it recycles your level 3s, which I think is really important in this deck, so that's why I chose to play those. Some people will play the Fire Fist Lion Emperor that needs 2 fire monsters and lets you add back one of your fire monsters in grave. That card's cool, but I wanted something a little more generic, but in general you could play that. Another good rank 4 option for this deck is something like a Daigusto Emerald. In the future, I'd probably try to make room for that as well, but currently I'm not playing it. But anyways, guys, that is the deck. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions, definitely make sure to comment those in the comment section or videos you want to see in the future. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a thumbs up on it, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell to get notified anytime I put a new video out. Share this video with your friends, and anyways, guys, I will see you in the next video.